Hi, welcome back to QOTPOD. As you can see, we've got Gus, who's from FC Panachaika 1891. Hi, Gus. How are you? You all right?
I'm fine. Thank you very much for having me again.
Yeah, you are fine, but I've had a conversation with you. I don't think everything is as fine as that smile is, but we'll come to that later. Right, let's pull this together, right?
Yeah.
So you live in the UK, you support a Greek football club. We've been talking over a couple of months, and you found the podcast, and you've been talking about Exeter City. We've been sharing ideas. And since the last podcast you did, which was about 6 weeks ago, I think, we've had a bit of communication on various bits. And I did share, by the way, that Dean Moxey bit, the player that we were talking about young players, and he was the young player that went to the Premiership and came back. Right. So for those that didn't listen to the first one, right, in the Greek second division and equivalent, very large city, and it's just to the left of Athens, in effect, about 150 miles. If I got that wrong, he'll tell me. Before 2000, it was pretty much in the Premier League of Greek football, absolutely smashing it. And because it's a big city, very well supported club, getting circa 9 to 15,000 supporters at games, he says. Since then, it's been a bit of a yo-yo club, and there's been some turbulent years, which we're just about to hear a little bit more about in a little while. So, and Exeter fans will remember our times with this. We've been there, turbulent years, distrust, weird things going on, a bit of secrecy sometimes, things not quite as they seem, and the club really in not a great position. Now, we talked about points deductions. The Greek system's slightly different. Your club have actually had, I think, 53 points deducted in theory. Is that right?
In theory, 53 points deducted, but every single time there was a court case happening, we had to pay off the player, and if you paid off the player, you get the points back. So we managed to claw back all 53 points.
Wow, which is an interesting way of doing it, and we're going to touch on that a little bit more, I think, in the discussion. So, lots of rubbish going on, really. Not a way to, want to develop a club and link into sponsors and build things as they go. We talked about under-19s maybe having to play. I suppose I'm going to ask the question at this point, right?
Yep.
4 or 5 points. What's the present status of your club? Because there were fans groups getting set up. There was quite good innovation going on. Where is it at the moment?
There is a not-for-profit fan organization club that has been set up, which and I forwarded over all Exeter, what you guys have done. So they're well aware of what you guys have done. So they're trying to look and see if there's a pathway to get anything sorted out for the club on that end. On the other end, though, from the team side, things aren't looking that good. There's a lot of skepticism from the fans. The fans are thinking, and they're saying to themselves, you don't have the current directors don't have the money to take the team to the next level or even compete competitively in the next season. So what's our even purpose of even being on board? Try and sell the club to somebody that could come in that has a new vision. And I think that in a nutshell, this past year where, they've seen players go on strike because they haven't been played. They've seen players not being paid for 6-7 months. They've seen a head coach that was very, very, very popular back in the day in the equivalent Premier League, leaving the club and now, trying to chase after his money as well. You just keep on seeing that there are multiple factors that shows that whatever the current directors are doing, it's not showing trust. Let's say it's not showing that honest approach of here's what we can do. But they're talking and then they're backtracking on a lot of things, and I think that's going to come and really hit them hard further on down the line.
Wow. And be very sure, like, and this is a promise, like, it will come back to anybody later on. It always does, right? And it's about being ready and prepared, and to build if they don't want you to build.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does make sense, and you're absolutely right on that, because I'm seeing right now on social media and all the comments from hardcore fans, and you can see that they don't trust the club anymore. They're sick and tired of them lying to them, and I really think this is going to affect them season ticket wise as well.
Wow.
And this is one thing where I don't think that they have looked into that well. Or considered.
Yeah. Now, in terms of looking in, and I know that we've spoken a little bit. Let's spend a little bit of time to go through the present state of Exeter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And come back to some of those things, because I know that you're going to share this podcast with a few people, aren't you? So,
yeah.
Benefit of the audience, it sounds a bit weird, but we're doing it for good reason, because hopefully people that listen to this will actually listen and learn a little bit from the Exeter City experience, which is partly what the podcast's about. So we talked about Somewhere Just Perfect, SJP, where it's a play on St James's Park. Yeah, lots of media messaging going on at Exeter about it at the moment. It's really important. See, early bird season ticket sales are, and please don't get too upset, because this is the other side of the spectrum. Right, they're 10% up roughly. I think it's 3,000. Don't quote me on this. 3,300 season tickets in the bin, bagged. People have bought them. Commitment is shown, right? And the context for FC Panachaika is we've never really got more than an average of 7,000 at home. 8,000. We'll probably be about 7,000 at home this year, maybe more. But the potential of your club is much higher than that, as you can see. New sponsors on board, right? A company called Hell Performance, motorbiking, and they're not football fans. But the reason why they did it, members of the family was because it was all about community, honesty, integrity, and it was an organisation linked to the city, and there was so much trust in it. That's why they joined up. So, and I know that you're having challenges with sponsors, so we'll come back to that. We've signed our first player. The players are back in training today. The season starts. Cold, honest sweat. Let's hope they're being run around quite a lot. And I think, get this, our guys are going at a training camp with our elite military, the Royal Marines. Don't know how much you know about them. So they're going on a training camp to be toughened up, right? We still need to find some players. We've got multiple friendlies organised, which generate revenue. One of which is Coventry City, who narrowly missed out on getting into the Premier League.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Luton Town. So they're going to come down, which is always painful for me, because they beat us at Wembley a couple of years previous and stopped us getting promoted. But good luck to Coventry. And the player that we just signed in, right, is a guy called Vincent Harper. Is a left wing back. He's come from non-league, but he's our 1931 player. Now, for the benefit of the FC Panachaika fans, right, that is a player who's subsidised by supporters paying £19 a month into a separate fund. And I'm one of those people, and there's a couple of hundred people doing it now, I think, including our new club sponsor, right? He's bought into it, and that's enabled us to sign that player, because you know the background with us. So it sounds awkward. That's where you could be if some of your fans are listening to this when Gus goes through it. But Gus, go through a little bit about the shirts, for example, because last time we spoke about things, you were doing loads of innovation around shirts, weren't you?
Yeah. Last year we decided to do something a little bit outside of the box, and that is we had a local supplier, and we went out with a nice little campaign, reached out to our fan base and said, send us in your ideas via email of what you would like to see on next year's shirt. And because the printer that we have and the supplier that we have, he does sublimation printing, which means you can literally print anything you want, any color, any shape, it's completely digital. We managed to get just over 160 proposals that came in, and they were all like different shirts and everything, which was really good because we started engaging the fans. And then we took from that, we managed to get the supplier to mock up a total of 11 shirts. We said 11 players on the pitch. We wanted to do a little bit of a little ring to it. And we said, these are the 11 shirts that are going out. The 2 shirts are going to come from the choice of the club. So the players and the directors are going to choose the 2 shirts. 2 shirts are going to come from the fans. And then we're going to do another shirt, which is going to be chosen by the caretaker of the club, where he's been in that position for the past 23 years. So it's kind of like a tribute to him. And, so we went out last year with 5 official shirts that you could buy then afterwards. And this generated quite a lot of revenue for us because the players and the fans all got attached to those shirts. And it was really good because,
How did you get that through the Greek Cafe?
We sent a request to them and we explained the logic behind it. And they said, this is absolutely amazing. And we also said that one of the shirts, all the proceeds will go towards a local charity.
Wow.
So right when they saw that we were doing something innovative as a championship, they gave us their blessings, basically.
Brilliant. And what's the local charity? Can you remember?
It was called Astro, which is like a star of the city, let's say. And they basically help out with a lot of the, with a lot of homelessness and that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. Sorry, let's do a big shout out for them because we like a bit of charity at this end. So that's amazing. Now I know I'm leading the conversation here a little bit because you were basically making, you had a guy making the shirts or a company, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a local supplier, so it's a sports brand. He's on the up and up, let's say, in Greek manufacturing. So through Panachaika, he managed to get quite a reputable name.
Yeah,
and that brought on a lot of business for him. And it was doing good because we developed through him our e-shop that we have for the club.
Yeah.
So we went completely opposite, and we didn't order any stock of anything. So we did everything print on demand with him, and I helped him set it up that way. And basically, we were profitable from the very first order because we didn't have to pay for anything, and he didn't have to print up anything unless it was actually paid for, and it was money in the bank for them that allowed them to go ahead and print. And the fans, because it's custom made, they're willing to wait up to 10 days so that it can be printed, packed, sealed, and delivered then afterwards.
Excellent. And just to share, we're on the other side of the spectrum. We've just announced with Adidas, and we've changed kit sponsors this year, which is quite a big thing for Exeter, actually, because we tend to have very long partnership, which, as you know, it's part of our strategy to be honest, integrity, long partnerships. It comes back to you. Adidas have got interested in us in terms of a fans community club. and I think that they've liked what we've done, which is well exciting, because in the 19, when I was a boy, 8 years old, in 70s, 80s, we had an Adidas kit, and it was brilliant. But it's been a long time, so that all sounds good. But I believe you've got some bad news about it.
Yeah, from what I've heard and everything, I don't think that the supplier is going to go ahead for next year. There was a couple of disputes that have been happening with the club, and he's like, if they don't respect my work, I'd rather go and do it somewhere else. So I think that he won't be there for next year. But it's a sad thing, because we managed to do something that turned a lot of people's heads in Greece with how we set it up and how we worked together with the local business.
Yeah.
In comparison to just allowing the club to market it. We did a lot of the marketing for it, and we drove a lot of traffic to the website. But on the other end, it was a supplier that was printing up everything and then shipping them out. So our fans were getting quality stuff at a very, very, very good price.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. And this is a shame, because from what you're saying to me, there's quite a lot of innovation. And I'm going to say innovation to a higher standard than we've managed to achieve in terms of commercial customization. And that's one area that a lot of people are passionate at our club about developing further, because we focused in on other areas, sort of like building training grounds and stuff like that, which is all now done. So, but
you said one thing though before. You said that it's all about honesty, integrity, and that kind of like attitude, where the businesses and the companies in our city have completely turned their backs on the club. So, this year they probably raised just over 20,000 euros from sponsorship, which is a club of that size is detrimental.
Yeah, it's not great. So, I know you alluded to a fans group out there. How many members has that got already?
It's got it just started about a month ago, and there's over 120 members right now.
Right, 120 members. Right. So here's a call to arms, right? I'm going to help you, or we're going to help you, right? If any of those 120 members, let's even have a conversation with them if you want to, if it works, right?
Okay.
But if they spend, and this is the history of the Exeter one, we opened a fans trust in 2001. We took ownership in 2003. It was about 18 months, right? And we built it up, and there was 12 people in a meeting room. It was like all with the same values, ethos. And we're not going to settle for anything else. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, those people are still around our club today, right? Fortunately, most of them are still alive in the nicest way, because it is 20 years past, right? But some of them are quite young. I was quite young at the time. But the point being is, there were a lot of what I call non-believers, right? And you have to ignore them. Go, okay, fine, no problem, right? Let them come back to you, because you find we found that it was like, oh no, I'm not going to join the trust. Well, there's 50 of us doing this now.
Yeah.
Really? There's 100 of us doing it now. Really? There's 1,000 of us doing it now. Really? And also in terms of helping, you said about commercial debts, etc., and all the debts and stuff. Things started to happen because people were like, I can see where this is going now, right? I'm not going to worry about that debt for a little while. I could do with it being paid, but I'm going to give you a bit of space to sort your affairs out, so to speak. And that's how it happens. So if you've got somebody who's perhaps not going the right direction, that's leading the club, Don't worry about it. Set
Yeah,
up.
but that group right now, they did a summit, let's say, a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
and they packed a room, and they managed to do their mission statement, say exactly what their beliefs are, and the moral of the story that they portrayed was, we don't want to see any more mistakes happening at our club. We want
Yes.
to be there. We want to have a voice, so at least the current directors can hear us before any big decision that's going to be made that's going to have an impact on the club. At least they'll hear it from the fans' point of view as well too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, and again, I don't know right now if the club has even bothered to initiate any discussion with them whatsoever. So these are just fans that are doing this on their own, hoping that, at one point their opinion will be heard at least.
Yeah, and to what, there's no better motivation, because I can remember going to meet the directors of Exeter City with a gentleman called Dr. David Traherne, Neil Lemillier, who does our Andros trips to Greece, one of our London exiles at the time, now lives in Devon, in Exeter, and 3 or 4 other people, and we were like, oh, we're a supporters trust, and a lot of the feedback from those directors that were struggling at the time were like, yeah, actually, and they didn't say it, but they were like, really, we're not interested unless you show us a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
But and it was quite hard at the time, because we were like, no, we're not going to show you any money. We want something first, and that is more involvement, more honesty, more integrity. I mean, we had the money just going into a bank account, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the moment happened where a few things happened, the trust went from 250 members to 1,500 members in a matter of days, right? Is that now 3,500? It was 4,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, if you've got loads of people together, that's really lucky, because we're lucky if we get 12, and this sounds wrong and a criticism, we're lucky if we get 12 people to a trust meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
With maybe 1 or 2, and then they're the trustees, plus maybe 1 or 2 observers. Now that sounds really bad, but it's good in a way, because people have got trust, because they can read the minutes, and they'll soon work out if it's not going in the right direction. So you've got an active trust that organise it for you, right? Whereas where you are at the moment, you're in that building phase, I think. So get it built and get the open a bank account. Have you got a bank account open?
Well, that's the not-for-profit. They're sorting that out. So right when they're ready to do that, I'm pretty sure that they're going to try and look to see how they can start getting membership fees and start putting it, like you said, reserving it in a bank account. But until that, they're taking into consideration that our city, there's not a lot of money circulating, let's say. Yes, there are a couple of people that are very, very wealthy, and they love the club, so they'll chip in a little bit more. But you're looking at a lot of people that are on minimum wage. They've got 20 euros in their pocket. They look to see if they can spend 5 euros on the club. That's the kind of people that we have. We have a bunch of them. We have a lot of them, thousands of them.
Really?
But the thing is, though, is that with everything that has been going on over these past couple of years, all those thousands and thousands of fans, I've just said, I've been burned twice already. I'm not going to go down that road again. The only time I'm going to go back and support them is when I see actual progress being made. And I think last year was a great, great, great example where they saw progress being made, and they said, all right, we'll see what's going to happen. But this year, I think that a lot of fundamental mistakes have happened, and those fundamental mistakes just reassured the fans again that, all that glitter isn't gold. So let's try and see what we can do then afterwards.
And if you look at the here's a few stats for you, right? I think the average people put into the Exeter Trust as a member is between £7 and £10 a month, right? Now, when you've got 3,700 or whatever people doing that, that's not bad. Now, it was only in effect £100,000 subsidy into the club, right? But it was the value of the volunteering. It was the value of the working for free at an event. It was it was all those ways that they started to turn it round, and then the value you say with the sponsors, you find somebody comes out of the woodwork and just goes, oh yeah, we're going to do that. Well, we can see that there's. I've got a T-shirt of the fans on now with our Greek emblem just here for the people to see. It was these people, and I've worn this T-shirt deliberately today. It was these people that did it, nobody else, right? But you don't need a lot of money. But what you do need is that honesty.
Exactly. And like I said, our stadium is very old. So I proposed something to them, and I said to the not-for-profit people, I said to them, I'm like, look, what if we all chip in some money and we buy some paint and go slap it up on the sides and all that kind of stuff, just to give it a little bit of a refresh. And there was over 60 people that are willing to put in time for free to do this.
Yeah, there will be. Yep. Exeter 20 years ago, because this is for you to help share at your end. 21 years ago, I'm going to say now. We a bit of a description. We've got a training ground that was falling apart. It's only just been replaced, right? At the time, it was a really old building, right? And they had people camp out. And in the summer months, it's not warm in the UK very often. We get about a 10-week period in the summer, and they had, I think, a week camp out or weekends camp out, and people could turn up. And I'm talking 15 tents turned up, families turned up. There was kids with paintbrushes. And then we did the same. It was going on with our ground. So for now, if you drink a drink in the ground and you think about throwing it away, a lot of people don't do that because very unusually, because they don't normally allow it because of anti-terrorism issues, having beers in football grounds, right? A lot of people put the rubbish in as they go past because they knew that we have volunteers brushing up and tidying up afterwards every game. But not only that, before the season started, everybody was painting everything. That still goes on, right? As a club, that is still part of the DNA. It has to happen. Yeah. And so encourage them to do that stuff. That's what puts that back into it.
Yeah, the thing is that, when they did the summit, they outlined quite a lot of activities that they want to do. And their main intent is they want to get the city and the communities behind the team again, which is a very, very, very big ask and a very big task to do. But they went out straight, honest, and they're asking it right now. And they've managed to get quite a lot of a good, warm response already from a lot of people because they like the whole idea of what they're trying to do, which is a positive thing.
And you know what? You'll find that those directors will get to a point where they'll go, okay, we really should listen to this. Now, feed that back. It sounds very turbulent for you, and I can see the pain on your face. There will be better times. I'm going to lighten the mood a bit now. Let's change it up, because one thing we didn't talk about last time was what's going on in Greek football. Where are we? Is it pre-season training yet?
Pre-season training. A lot of the clubs that are playing in the equivalent Premier League, they already started their pre-season training. Clubs in the equivalent championship, where my club's at right now, they've got, out of the Out of the 26 teams that are going to be taking part next year, there's two groups that are comprised of the championship. 2 groups of 13 teams each one. Out of the 2 groups, probably 8 clubs have submitted their paperwork, and they've got the right to take part in next year's championship.
Right.
The other 15, let's say, they are allowed to take part in the championship, but under certain circumstances. So that means they're not allowed to get that many transfers. They can only get specific criteria, like foreign players. They've got to have a maximum of 3 foreign players, where the other teams that have the license, they can get up to 5, I think it is. They're only allowed to get players under 23 now. You know, these are the kind of stipulations that my club, along with other clubs, are going to have to face this year.
Right.
So,
where are the players coming from?
That's another topic right now that, again, I try to tell our club that I would look at investing in local talent. I would look at local talent for a lot of reasons. One, you don't have to pay for accommodation.
Yeah.
Secondly, because they're local, that means they've got friends, family, and relatives, which will just definitely do one thing. It'll boost your season ticket sales. Yeah. It'll boost attendance at the actual games. They're going to go see their friend. They're not going to go see some person that's just playing for the club. They're actually going to go see somebody that they interact with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Currently the roster is about 25% of local talent, which is very low in comparison to the fact that the club is a city-based club. It's not. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you? Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, you saw me just asking a question. So I know that you've had problems with paying the players, right?
Yep.
So would it be the case? So, like, let's give you 2 scenarios. I'm a 20-year-old lad. I'm really good at football, right? I'm potentially happy to work or be a student or something, do something else, but I know I'm going to play football. So I'm prepared to take the risk that I'm not earning any money to get in the shop window. Are you going to get players like that? That's one question.
Well, let me answer that really quick right now, because that's the mentality of some of the players right now. They know that Panachaika is a very, very, very popular old classic club.
Yeah.
So they're like, if I get to play with them in the equivalent championship, it might boost my percentages of one day being transferred somewhere, or somebody picking me up from a Premier League team, the equivalent of the Premier League. That happened this year with one of our players, and he was probably the biggest asset that the team had. So they signed him on last year for a 2-year deal. Yeah. They defaulted on payments, so he had the right to, ask for his money, and eventually he managed to leave as a free agent right now.
Wow.
But after 1 year of playing with us, he's going to be playing next year in the equivalent Premier League. And he negotiated his own terms. The club didn't benefit a single dime from it. They lost everything in comparison to,
And let's make a guess. How much money are you talking about? Are you talking 100,000 euros, €500,000?
They probably picked this guy up for 10,000.
Really?
Yep. Wow. They signed him on for a 2-year deal, knowing that in those 2 years, I'm definitely going to sell this guy.
Right. Okay.
And this guy right now managed to get away with. He managed to exit his contract because he defaulted twice on his payments.
Okay.
And he stopped playing ball for probably beginning of May, but he's already got 2 or 3 offers right now from higher teams. So he's going to be going next year playing in the equivalent Premier League, and he negotiated his own contract.
Unbelievable. And if again, Greek fans that end up listening to this, we established that TV rights and stuff, English football is on a completely different level because in terms of money. And I think that in effect, as a League One football club, we're probably in a better position financially than you would be as a championship Greek football club. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The thing is that in Greece, there are 3 revenue streams that are coming in, let's say, that are guaranteed contracts. One is your TV rights. All right. So that came in from the Greek broadcasting channel. So it is from the government, let's say. But what they did is, they said in the beginning of the season, we'll give something like the equivalent of 2 million euros spread out throughout the teams. That dropped during the season to like 1 million. So all of a sudden you see that what I promised you in the beginning, you're not going to get in the end. So if you've done your budgeting and you put in the full amount, it's not going to happen. And the second one, doesn't know. And the second one comes from the government through the taxation on betting.
Right. Okay.
Right. So the Greek government makes 24% on taxation from all forms of betting. So they put that into one huge communal pot. And they said, from a percentage of this taxation, we're going to fund literally every single sport in Greece. So it's not just football. It's basketball, handball, volleyball, track and field, you name it. Every single sports club gets a small little percentage of this. Depending on where you're playing and the rank that you're in, you'll get a fair share.
It's something similar to the National Lottery in principle in England, although in the UK, although it's not a tax, it's a lottery, but you can then fund stuff. But get it, understand that one.
So our club this year, from that taxation, they were supposed to make 270,000 euros. And literally about a few weeks ago, the government just went back to them and said, take it or leave it, 110. So you see that's a lot. That's over 60% is gone. All right. And then the third way that they make revenue is there is a betting company that has become the national sponsor of Division 2, of Super League 2. So they started off saying every team will make 15,000, 20,000 euros from this sponsorship from the betting company. And, up until a couple of weeks ago, it was like, I'll give you guys 4,000 or 8,000 in, 8,000 in installments up until the end of September. And, everybody's like, just give me the installments because they want the more money. Yeah. But from 20,000 to drop down to 8,000, it's a big drop again. So there's no reliability. There's no, there's no foundations that you can truly believe on regarding the revenue streams because they're constantly changing. And this is a big factor because a lot of the clubs depended on that kind of money.
Yeah. And that's, if you look at English football, I'm going to say English football because they're English and Wales football, right? I'd say because Scotland's slightly different because of the countries and the legislation. But, we get the TV money, as which is quite lucrative. A lot of revenue, obviously, comes from sponsorship, TV streaming now. But that the bit that you have got no chance of getting from what you've just said, right, is sell-ons for players because you're not paying the players on time.
Yep.
And that's not criticism. I'm not trying to do it. And to put it into perspective for any of the Greek fans listening, right? There's a player called Ethan Ampadu who's Welsh. He's a Welsh international, played at the World Cup. It's on Chelsea's books. They've now decided he's been on loan in Italy. We've been getting some revenue from his tribunal fee and loan fees. Right? They've just put him up for sale for £12 million. Right? If that comes off, we get £2 million. right? Because of the sell on at 20%.
Yeah.
And I know you know that. I know you understand that because we've spoken about it. And so it is about paying the bills because then other revenues come your way. Yeah. And it's not the first one, as we know, because there's Ollie Watkins, who's Aston Villa, who's went by Brentford, plays for England. Again, that's another one. And then we've got two other players we're presently waiting selling fees. So, but the key thing to that is, and I'm not preaching to you, is they honour the contracts, and I know you know this.
I know that. I know, and I'm with you on that one.
The rest follows.
Yep.
And that's the people that aren't listening to people like you.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that, I did my hardest to try and tell them that, you finally got some really good assets. You have to look after those assets, because if you don't look after those assets, you're going to lose a lot in the long run. And from what it looks like right now, not only did they lose that player because he got up and left on his own and he negotiated his own new contract right now, they also had to pay him off the remainder of his existing contract right now. He's liable. He's like, I played, you didn't pay me, so you have to pay up until at least May when we parted ways. So, and he has the right to go right now to take them to court. And the way that it works in Greece is that, you have to put up in the beginning 200,000 euros or 200 or 300,000. I can't remember, as like insurance, let's say. So that remains in your bank account. And every time that there's a court case from existing rosters, they have the right to deduct the money from the insurance.
Yeah.
So, you're probably going to lose that money from them claiming it from the insurance.
Yeah. Wow. Look, lot to be done. This was an interesting, we knew it was going to be. So this is podcast number 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. With you. It's not going to be the last podcast. I think we both know that. I'm going to suggest that offline, let's have some more conversations as we have been doing. And at the right moment, we're going to come back to you and we're going to follow where you are. And I'm going to make a couple of predictions, right?
Yep.
Firstly, you're going to maintain your honesty and integrity, as I know you will, and your fans' organisation, and it needs to grow and build. They need to start opening the bank account, put the money in, right? The rest of it will follow. It might take 3 months, 6 months, 18 months. So this is where it starts. Yeah.
Well, that's why I reached out to you originally, right when I saw that post that you did on LinkedIn, because there was a lot of people saying about, the Wrexham story.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different ballpark when you've got Hollywood stars backing a team and everything in comparison to what you guys have done.
Yeah.
And, that story, if people heard about it, or a lot of people aren't even aware, I wasn't aware of it. I'm just being honest with you. I wasn't aware of it, but when I saw everything that you guys have done regarding the impact and regarding how you guys have kept the fans together as a team, as a community, and you guys are working together as a community, you only can see that, look at how much you can accomplish if you just work together. And that's a very, very positive message right there. And it's a big message as well, too.
Yeah. And I one bit of background or feedback. There's a guy that came to my wedding 22 years ago that me and him had some really strong conversations related to where we go. There was a period of time where we didn't speak to each other for a few months. We are now, and I'm delighted to say, talking again, good friends. We've come out the other side, right? But do you know what? The one thing that we've had to do, and sometimes you have to put your hand up and go, okay, got that wrong, right? And sometimes you have to go, do you know what? We're going to sit back for 6 months here, and watch how it goes. Because do you know what? It might not be getting there as quickly as I want, but it will get there, And then you come back to it, and then an idea somebody might have suggested comes back in. It might take 2 years to get it in, right? But do you know what? Does it matter, right? Because there
really.
might be the right time for what you're trying to do. So try not to fall out with, not you, try not to fall out with people as you go. Remember, you're all fans of the same football club, right?
Yep.
Sometimes people lose sight of that. Yeah. So, but the thing to do is keep talking and get them to come around.
We will. Hopefully, we'll manage to get that, one step further to what we actually want to do. So, patience. That's the only thing that we can do right now.
Watch this space. So predictions for the new season on the pitch, not good, I assume. Have you got a squad together?
They're getting the squad, but like I said, because of the restrictions that they're going to have, it's going to be very difficult to try and attract people to come. And secondly, it's not a hidden secret. Everybody in the championship knows that this club didn't pay their players. So if you're a player right now, you either have to go exactly what you said. I know I'm not going to get paid, but at least I'm going to be in the spotlight of a bigger championship, which could lead to somewhere else. And that's a risk that the players need to take, not the club.
Yeah.
But it just goes back on the club's reputation, the history, that kind of stuff. It doesn't look good. That's what I'm looking at. And they have until the 30th of June to secure the rest of this of the roster for next year.
Really?
And, we're on the 23rd of June right now, and I don't think that many conversations have been happening.
Right.
So,
wow.
Again, it doesn't look good. I'll put it to you that way.
We've been there, right? In terms of squad, we have about 25 players to 30 players sometimes. We've lost. We're going to lose a few because of the finance implications and the money that's in English football, including possibly 2 Exeter-born guys that started off when they were 9 years old, 10 years old through the academy. You know what we've just been talking about? And they've got the opportunity to go at 24. We've offered a contract. They've not accepted. So we might get a small fee, but they're going to go. We can't really stand by and say no, because a couple of those lads have played a couple hundred games for the club, which is amazing, right, at that age, right? The chances are they'll go on to play 600 to 700 games. So we've got that challenge. We've just signed a new young player in. We've talked about him. We're short of about. We've got 2 midfielders. We need another goalkeeper, probably 2 more wing backs and 2 more strikers, and then maybe we're ready for the season. But our season is later than yours because we can keep signing players into September or August the 31st.
We're allowed this. You're allowed to do transfers, but this year our club's not going to be able to do any transfers. Only under certain circumstances. But the way it works in Greece is that there is a deadline. So August 31st is the last day that you can do transfers, but you're allowed then afterwards to pick up players that are free agents. But if one of your restrictions is that you're not allowed to pick up any free agents, it kind of doesn't apply to you then. So again, you have to. So what it looks like is whoever's going to be on that roster by June 30th, that looks like the roster that they're going to have, so they can start off for the next season.
Wow.
And I don't know.
Let's check in. Let's check in about 6 to 8 weeks' time now, and so we'll check in and then work out a good time. That's also good time in terms of delicate conversations that are probably happening at your end. So we'll be guided, but it's going to be a QOTPOD first, doing a 3rd episode for the club. But I think Exeter fans and fans own football club fans will be interested in following and being a fly on the wall of what's going on.
Let's hope and see what's going to happen over the next couple of months, because it is critical. And like I said, I don't think I don't think the fans are going to be able to take another season of, this kind of decision making, which affects the club dramatically. So I really think that, the current directors need to line their ducks up. They need to get their ducks in a row. And they need to be honest with the people and tell them that this is the current situation. I know it's not the ideal, but here's how we're going to make it work. And because last year, past year, it was all about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But there was no action plan of how you're actually going to do it. There was nothing.
Right. Here's an action plan, right? Mm-hmm. Something I promised you, right? Your not-for-profit members club.
Yep.
Give me the details, because you've just got another new member. I'm going to sign up personally, right, and become a member. What I haven't said to you is that the last trust meeting at Exeter was held about 10 days ago, and I talked about you guys at any other business, and suggested, and I've formally got to write to them, that the Exeter Trust becomes a member of your trust, because we are members of FC Chattanooga in the USA. So that's two parts of the action plan. The other bits are down to you guys. So if you can get it moving, yeah?
Well, like you said, watch this space and we'll see where we can go.
Cool. Thanks for coming on QOTPOD. I'm going to apologize for the last podcast. For some reason, the audio of the one up, I thought it had been changed and it's not very good, which is really disappointing, because it was with our shirt sponsors, a guy called Simon Lane. So I'm going to have a look at that. This is going to go out this weekend, and it should be out on Sunday. I wish you the best of luck. Keep working on it. Any help you need, give us a shout. We'll talk soon, yeah?
Yep.